The dusty wind howled across the open plains as the last of the sun sank behind the rust-colored hills of Texas, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. The town of Hollow Creek had long fallen quiet, its saloon lights dim, its horses resting, and its people locked in gossip about a mysterious woman who had come to claim the late Colonel Whitmore's fortune. Her name was Naomi Grant, a tall, fierce black woman whose presence alone could silence a room. She arrived in town wearing a long, flowing black coat, boots that clicked with certainty, and eyes that dared anyone to question her right to be there. They said the colonel had left behind a will so strange it split the town in two. Half believed Naomi was a fraud. The other half whispered she was his long-lost kin. The will had one condition: she could not inherit until she fulfilled a strange demand. She must marry and spend one night under the same roof with a man chosen by the colonel himself, a rugged cowboy named Caleb Rhodes, known for his cold heart and the scar that crossed his cheek like a lightning strike. Caleb was a man who lived alone on his ranch, away from gossip, away from love. He'd once been the colonel's most trusted foreman, and the last thing he wanted was to be tied to any woman, let alone one who walked into town like thunder looking for justice. When Naomi arrived at his ranch that evening, he was mending a fence. His hands rough, his jaw tight, his eyes shadowed beneath his hat. She didn't wait for an invitation. She rode her horse straight up to his porch, swung her leg over, and dismounted with the grace of a woman who'd fought for everything she ever had. "You must be Caleb Rhodes," she said, her voice sharp as a whip crack. He looked up slowly, taking her in from her boots to her steady eyes. "Who's asking?" he replied, his tone low and guarded. "Naomi Grant," she answered. "Colonel Whitmore's will says I don't get my inheritance unless I spend a night here, with you." Caleb froze, wiping the sweat from his brow, unsure if he'd heard right. "Lady," he said after a long silence, "I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but I'm not part of it." Naomi's lips curved into a smirk. "I'm not playing, cowboy. You can check the papers yourself. The lawyer said it's you or no inheritance at all. So whether you like it or not, you're going to bed with me tonight." Her words weren't flirtation, they were a challenge, a declaration of war. And they hit him harder than any punch he'd taken in a bar fight. Caleb dropped his hammer, his eyes narrowing as the wind lifted her curls like a halo of defiance. "You're serious," he muttered. "Dead serious," she said, stepping closer. "I don't care what you think of me, Mr. Rhodes. I came too far to walk away empty-handed." He studied her face, saw the strength behind her pride, and something inside him shifted. The woman wasn't here for pleasure or scandal, she was here to fight for what was hers. "You got grit," he said quietly, "but you don't know me. And I sure as hell don't share my bed with strangers." Naomi crossed her arms. "Good thing I'm not asking for romance. Just one night under your roof. That's all. The will says together, not tangled." Caleb sighed, half amused, half irritated. "You've got a mouth on you," he said. "And you've got a choice," she shot back. "Let me stay, or I'll camp outside your door and tell the lawyer you refused." He almost laughed at her stubbornness. But the truth was, she had fire he hadn't seen in years. So he nodded, slowly. "Fine. You can stay. But don't expect me to be friendly." "I don't need friendly," she said. "Just honest." As the night deepened, thunder rolled in from the west, and the air filled with the smell of rain and cedar. Inside the cabin, the fire flickered weakly as Naomi looked around the small room. It was humble, wood walls, a single bed, a rough-hewn table, and shelves lined with tools and worn books. Caleb poured himself a cup of coffee, then another for her, though he didn't offer it right away. "So what's your story?" he asked finally, breaking the silence. Naomi didn't look at him. "My story's in that will," she said quietly. "The colonel took me in when I was a child, his housekeeper's daughter. He raised me after she passed. I left when I was old enough to stand on my own, but I never forgot him. And now everyone in town says I don't belong." Her voice trembled. Just slightly, before she steadied it again. Caleb studied her over the rim of his mug. "They say a lot about me, too," he said. "They say I killed a man. That I drink too much. That I can't feel." He looked into the fire. "They're not wrong about some of it." Naomi's eyes softened. "Then we're both ghosts in this town, aren't we?" He chuckled bitterly. "Maybe so." As the rain began to fall, tapping the roof like 1,000 tiny drums, the air grew heavy with unsaid things. Naomi removed her coat, revealing a white blouse stained with dust from travel. She set her bag down beside the bed and turned to him. "I'll take the floor," she said. "You can have the bed." Caleb frowned. "That ain't what the will says. It says one roof, one bed." She looked him straight in the eyes. "You afraid, cowboy?" His jaw tightened. "No," he said. "Just trying to do right." "Then let's do right by the dead," she said. "The colonel trusted you. Don't make me regret this." For a long moment, neither of them moved. The storm outside roared, lightning flashing through the window, illuminating their faces, two souls bound by a dead man's wish. Then Caleb spoke, his voice low and rough. "You can take the left side. I'll stay on the right. And we'll both make it through the night without killing each other." Naomi nodded, half smiling. "Fair enough." When they lay down, silence fell again. The storm outside faded to a soft drizzle. Naomi could hear his breathing, slow, steady, like the rhythm of a heart that had known too much pain. She turned her head slightly and saw him staring at the ceiling. "Why do you think he did it?" she asked softly. "Made this rule." Caleb didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Maybe he wanted us to see something neither of us could on our own." "Like what?" "Like truth. Or forgiveness. Or maybe just peace." Naomi closed her eyes, his words sinking deep into her chest. For the first time in years, she felt something like safety. And for Caleb, lying beside a woman he'd never expected to meet, he felt something like purpose return. The inheritance no longer seemed like the point, it was the test. The kind that revealed who people really were when the world wasn't watching. Morning came quiet and silver, the storm gone, the ranch glistening with dew. Naomi woke first, the soft light catching her face. She watched him sleeping, this man who seemed carved from stone, but whose soul flickered with warmth beneath the scars. When he stirred, she whispered, "You can relax, cowboy. I didn't bite." He smiled faintly. "Guess the colonel was right about you," he murmured. "You've got more courage than anyone I've ever met." She sat up, pulling on her coat. "And you've got more kindness than you let the world see." They shared a long, quiet look, one that said what words couldn't. Whatever inheritance lay ahead, they'd both already found something more valuable in that night: respect, connection, and the start of something unspoken. As she mounted her horse to leave, Caleb called out, "Naomi." She turned, her eyes glinting in the sunlight. "Yeah. Don't let them tell you what you're worth," he said. "You already proved it." She smiled softly. "And don't hide behind that scar, cowboy. It doesn't make you hard, it makes you real." Then she rode away, dust rising behind her like a whisper of the night that had changed them both. Later, when the lawyer came to confirm the will's condition was fulfilled, Naomi signed the papers with steady hands. But instead of claiming all the land and gold for herself, she did something no one expected: she left half of it to Caleb Rhodes, the men who'd treated her with reluctant honor. The town gasped when they heard, but Naomi didn't care. She simply said, "The colonel wanted family, not fortune." That night, as Caleb stood on his porch watching the stars, he smiled for the first time in years, knowing that some inheritances aren't measured in land or gold, but in trust, in respect, in second chances. And as the wind carried her laughter back through the valley, Her words echoed in his memory. "You're going to bed with me. Tonight." What had started as an order had become something deeper, a bond written not in ink, but in courage.